Thank you very much, Julius, for the invitation, and it's a great honor for me to speak in front of such a multidisciplinary audience. My research at Heidelberg University focuses on the interaction between digitalization and youth mental health, and this includes intervention delivered in digitalized environments, in healthcare environments, in family environments, and also the investigation of interactions between digitalization and youth mental health. We want to focus both on the benefits and on the risks of digitalization and use the benefits to mitigate the risks of digitalization. Today, I would like to talk about interventions, about preventative interventions, behavioral prevention, which aims to modify mental processes and behaviors by psychologically-based procedures. This is in contrast to structural prevention, which other speakers today will talk about. Studying prevention strategies, you would like to ask which target group might benefit most from the intervention, ranging from interventions in healthy populations or with a healthy use of the internet, such as health promotion and universal prevention, up to clinical symptoms or populations with clinical symptoms where you might want to address indicated prevention or early intervention approaches. This is one dimension of preventative interventions. Another dimension is the setting. So in which setting should the intervention be delivered? In families or in peer environments, in schools? Should it be delivered digitally or in healthcare settings such as counseling centers? Another dimension is the delivery mode. So how much personal contact and expertise is needed to deliver the intervention? Should the intervention be fully automated, which is less costly? Or should it be clinician-led, which is most costly, but also most intensive, or something in between, such as AI chatbots, video conference delivered, or delivered by facilitators, which are not clinician professions? So should it be in groups or delivered to individuals, which is also more cost-intensive? And another dimension is the content of the intervention. Which content is expected to modify mental processes that change behaviors? Should it be media literacy-based, dissonance induction-based to increase motivation to change? Should it be approach avoidance-based to modify implicit cognitive biases? Should it contain single CBT strategies such as emotion regulation or inhibitory control, or should it contain full CBT programs? I would like to discuss some of the prevention programs that we conducted in our lab alongside these dimensions, and I would like to start with the PROTECT study, which we conducted 2015 to 2018, which was an indicated prevention program delivered in 33 schools to adolescents aged 12 to 18 years old, which were at high risk. They were identified by screening, and the intervention was delivered in face-to-face groups by clinicians, and it contained a CBT-based manual. The CBT-based manual contained 4 sessions of 90 minutes each, and the study design was a randomized control trial comparing the intervention group with an assessment-only control group with a follow-up over 12 months. We could see that the reduction of symptoms over 12 months was significantly stronger in the CBT group as compared to the assessment-only control group. The Cohen's d, so the within effect size, was large with 0.67. However, we also had a high rate of spontaneous remission in the assessment-only group. In the next study, we delivered the same preventative intervention in counseling centers in an early intervention study, the same age group, but more clinically impaired population. And what we could find was more or less exactly the same effect size over 12 months with a Cohen's d of 0.74 over 12 months, even slightly higher in the parental report rating. So it also works in counseling centers, but it's very resource intensive. Then the next study addressed the other end of the target group continuum, focusing universal prevention in elementary school students aged 9 to 11 years old without any screening, so a general population sample by trained facilitators, so no clinicians, and it was a minimal intervention with a one-session dissonance induction intervention. This was a pilot study with a short follow-up, and what we could find was a small effect size on gaming attitude change with a Cohen's d of 0.2 over 2 weeks, so not a very long period. This was only a pilot study. But then again, we were asking ourselves the question, is universal or indicated prevention more effective? What level of clinical training is needed? Is media literacy, which is often applied in schools, better than CBT or the other way around? Do trained local professionals achieve the same effect size than clinicians? And then we conducted the Protect Confirm RCT study over 5 years in 44 schools in Baden-Württemberg, addressing almost 2,000 students. We compared the CBT intervention, as in the previous study, as compared to a media literacy intervention, which also contained 4 sessions of 90 minutes each, but focusing on media literacy and psychoeducation. This was a statewide study in the state of Baden-Württemberg in the south of Germany, and we randomized students within classes and followed them up over 12 months. We trained 111 local professionals which conducted the interventions, both of the interventions, in classrooms during live supervision by clinical experts, which also did the fidelity rating. And what we could see is that in the universal prevention sub-study, applied to entire school classes, we found only very, very small differences between the CBT group and the media literacy group, with very small overall effects. On a clinical level, no effects in the universal prevention sample. But in the indicated prevention subsample, so the sample with adolescents at high risk identified by screening, we found large effect sizes in the CBT group. We also found effects of 0.5 in the media literacy group, but the effect size in the CBT group was almost twice as large as in the media literacy group. So the content of the intervention matters, and the target group matters. We also conducted a sub-study during the pandemic where the intervention was delivered in video conference settings as compared to face-to-face settings. And what we could see is that the media literacy program worked much better in the video conference delivery mode as compared to the CBT program. So CBT seems to perform much better in face-to-face settings, whereas media literacy can also be delivered in video conferences. Then we tried to develop an intervention which was much less costly and more automated. So we developed the Protect app, which is based on a cognitive task based on an approach avoidance training, and we delivered this app to in 2 studies to do 2 different samples, so 1 mixed adolescent and adult sample and 1 adult sample. The intervention focuses on the modification of implicit cognitive biases. So it's an implicit intervention, and it's app-based. So the task is to swipe away addiction-related stimuli and to swipe towards oneself healthy alternative behaviors. This is a 3-minute task, which is to be completed 3 times per day over 3 weeks. So a minimal intervention, fully automated. And we tested this in a randomized controlled trial, in a pilot trial, and found very large effects, much larger effects than in the CBT trial, which was much more costly and resource intensive as compared to no effects in the control group. And then we repeated this study in a larger, fully powered, randomized control trial, which, however, was a young adult sample. And here we could replicate the same effect sizes. So again, we found very large effects in the intervention group as compared to the control group, which also lasted over 3 months. Another way to reduce costs is to deliver the intervention AI chatbot-based. So what we did in the next step was to develop an AI chatbot intervention based on our CBT manual. The intervention was delivered to adolescents and young adults aged 16 and older. And to do so, we trained ChatGPT with prompts of our CBT manual, and individuals were aware that they were talking to an AI chatbot. We conducted a randomized control trial again with an assessment-only control group, so without intervention. And what we could find here is that the AI-delivered CBT also worked and also produced effects which were smaller than in the face-to-face condition, but also much cheaper because it was fully automated. Taking this together, the reason why we are here is the Bootstrap study. And Bootstrap combines all of the above-mentioned strategies and tries to find out which prevention strategy works best and for whom. It combines universal and indicated prevention. It delivers a digital intervention in school settings. It is an app-based task, fully automated, and investigates the effectiveness of 2 different CBT strategies, which is emotion regulation versus inhibitory control, and the aim is to find out which works best for whom. I am very happy to be part of this Bootstrap project, and I would also like to thank my wonderful team at Heidelberg University. Thank you for your attention.